So this was going to be a short initially, but the more research that I've done about this, the more I kind of realize actually we need a full video for this. We need to give it the full treatment here because this is incredible. The biggest fraud scandal in United States history, at least at state level anyway. $250 billion, not billion, $250 billion, $250 billion. That is what California is accused of losing. Just vanished, gone into nowhere. How do you misplace that much money? That is more money than the economies of many countries around the world. It's just gone missing from Cali. But what's actually happened here? How have they got this figure and what has gone on? Let's explain here on the channel as always, guys. So that $250 billion is how much California lost across unemployment, medical, and COVID relief programs according to a state audit which was released this month. Federal investigators are now involved, lawmakers are demanding answers, and the state has recovered less than 2% of what's vanished. God, you gotta laugh or you'll cry at something like this, but what's actually gone on here? California's Employment Development Department became a ground zero for pandemic fraud. Between 2020 and 2022, the agency approved roughly $32 billion in unemployment claims that turned out to be fake. Great job, guys. Fraudsters used stolen social security numbers filed under dead people's names and submitted thousands of applications from single addresses. The state was so overwhelmed with claims that verification basically stopped. Speed mattered more than accuracy, and the scammers knew that. Some of the most brazen fraud came from inside California's own prisons. Yes, actual criminals in actual prisons making claims and getting them approved. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Investigators found that at least 45,000 claims were filed using names of state inmates. Some payouts hit six figures as well. These were huge amounts of money. Prison staff and outside accomplices helped submit the applications. The state had inmate records and EDD records in separate systems that didn't talk to each other, so nobody caught the overlap until auditors started matching names. Again, central databases for stuff like this really come in handy, and this is another case where, yeah, literally hundreds of billions of dollars just gone. And this wasn't just a US problem. This wasn't just people in the United States. International fraudsters as well. They knew it. They took their opportunity with both hands, and California just bent over and let them do what they want, basically. Sorry, that's a bit of a vulgar image, isn't it? But you kind of get what I'm saying here. It basically is at this point. Groups operating out of Nigeria and Eastern Europe filed thousands of fake claims using identities stolen in data breaches. They moved fast, targeting multiple states at once, but California's weak verification made it the favourite. Of course, California has all been the biggest state in the union, having the biggest budget. Yeah, very much did lend itself to that. Some rings used bots to submit applications at scale. By the time the state flagged suspicious patterns, the money had already been wired overseas, and unsurprisingly, it's just disappeared. Funny that, isn't it? Unemployment wasn't the only program that was bleeding money. California's Medicaid system, called Medi-Cal, lost an estimated $50 billion or more to fraud in this time. Fake clinics billed for services that never happened. Phantom patients showed up on invoices. Some providers billed for expensive Phantom patients showed up on invoices. Some providers even billed for expensive procedures on people who had died years earlier. Unless they were doing a seance or a resuscitation or something, I don't think that was really going to help. The program serves over 15 million Californians, almost half the population of the state, and that scale made oversight nearly impossible during the pandemic. When the federal government sent emergency relief money to states, California handed it out fast. Fraudsters created shell companies, filed for small business loans and grants, and collected checks before anyone verified the business actually existed. Some addresses even turned out to be empty lots, not even buildings. Others were residential homes with no sign of commercial activity. The state approved applications based on self-reported information with little to no follow-up. The Bank of America, which issued EDD debit cards, flagged suspicious activity as early as summer 2020. The bank told state officials that fraud patterns were exploding. California responded slowly. Internal emails later showed that EDD leadership knew about the problem but prioritized getting money out the door rather than actually trying to see where it was going. By the time the state froze suspended account, by the time that the state froze the suspected accounts, billions had already been drained. California has clawed back around 5 billion of the 250 billion that's been lost. Great job, guys. Most of the money moved too fast to trace. It landed in overseas account, got converted into cryptocurrency, or was spent immediately. Prosecutors have secured convictions in dozens of cases, but individual recoveries are small. The bulk of the stolen funds are considered gone for good. They're not getting them back, 100%. Members of Congress are proposing legislation that would place California's benefit systems under federal supervision until new safeguards are in place. Some want regular third-party audits. Others want the state to adopt stricter identity verification before accessing any federal funds. California officials are pushing back, though, calling the proposals an overreach. I mean, when you can't do the right thing yourself, surely you need some help at that point. God almighty. So yeah, we'll see what happens here, guys. For me, it's most likely going to be a battle between California and the federal government on this. They're going to be saying, well, California is going to be saying, I should say, that, you know, we don't need help. This is federal overreach. This is a state problem. But when it's affecting federal funds, and those funds have gone, and clearly they can't do the right thing themselves, and we've all seen about the issues when it comes to California and their verification for things like illegal immigrants when it comes to these truck drivers as well. I'm talking about that again because that's a big problem in itself too. You know, clearly they need some help. Clearly they are either incapable or unwilling to actually do the job properly, and whichever one it is, they need help from the federal government. So I think what the government is actually saying is quite sensible, but California will fight it tooth and nail. Whether they'll get away with it is another matter. But yeah, yet another case in this, guys. Unbelievable stuff. Yeah, $250 billion, guys. That is an obscene amount of money. And this is going to rumble on for some time. And we'll bring you all the updates here on the Political Newscast as always, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always. Have a fantastic time wherever you're on the world today. See you soon. Have a good one.